guys, welcome back to my channel, A Page in My Diary. I'm Paige, PMC, Peace Move, whatever you want to call me, it will do. You already know what it is. So guys, it's been about a month since I've posted a video on my channel. I am really trying to get in the hang of being consistent with posting on this platform because it is something that I want to do more of, and it's just a matter of holding myself accountable, and that's something that I really am trying to push into myself right now, especially, tomorrow. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, but tomorrow is a new moon in Virgo. We are finally in Virgo season, and I'm really big with manifesting during the new moon, and that's something that I definitely want to call in for myself, is more consistency with what it is that I want to accomplish within myself, like putting more energy towards my creative time and being dedicated to that and not making excuses, because the way that my brain works, and I have ADHD, I get distracted and then that turns into procrastination, and I am trying to be better with that, but we give ourselves grace. But with this video, I wanted to talk about the inspiration behind A Page in My Diary. Where did I come up with this name? It's a little play at my name, honestly, A Page in My Diary. And it started because in 2009, 2010, my brother's friend was helping me figure out a username. I didn't know what I wanted to make my Twitter username, and also he knew this about me. Anyone that's in my life, I talked about it in the intro video, I always have a journal attached to me, like no matter where I go, and I have a huge collection of journals. And he was like, well, I know this about you, why don't you just make your Twitter name A Page in My Diary? So my Twitter is at Paige_in_my diary. It's cute, a play at my name. And I wouldn't have known that years later, this username for my Twitter would have ended up being the title of my first self-published book, which is my poetry book, A Page in My Diary, and now the channel of my YouTube, A Page in My Diary. And I just really wanted to be able to get on here and talk about the inspiration towards writing this book and how it came about, because it was a journey. It wasn't something that just was actually planned. It just kind of came about, and I had an aha moment with myself, like, girl, go back in your journals and look at all the writing that you've collected. There's a lot of poems in here. Why don't you just start off? What I ended up doing was I started off like going through all of the journals I had at the time, and I saw that I had a collection of poetry and just like confessional type of entries that I was putting in my journal that really resonated with me, that I felt like would resonate with other people who, if they read my words, I feel like it would resonate with them. And then that's when I had a conversation with myself, like, girl, why don't you try to, start off with this and then see where it goes, but like put the energy into making this a book, which is what I did. And I wanted to talk about how that all came about. So A Page in My Diary, my book right now, this book is available. It's a self-published book. It's available right now only on my website, www.paigecarey.com. I will put that in my bio description, so you can, or not my bio description, but my description on YouTube, so you can, click on that if you want to support me. I self-published this book at the start of the pandemic, so like 2 years ago, and, rewind to this at the beginning of this year, the company that I self-published my book with, they were changing their policies, and I didn't know anything about that, and they were sending me a bunch of emails that were just getting sent to my junk mail, and I didn't know that this was getting sent to my junk mail. So I don't know if I'm the only one. I'm sure I'm not, but like, I'm not casually looking at my junk mail all the time, and I didn't get these messages. And pretty much they were like letting people know, if you have your book in our system and you want to continue having your book self-published through our company, confirm with this email, and you'll still be in the system. You have 60 to 90 days to be able to do that. I didn't get the memo. So when I had someone try to purchase my book, they were saying they were having a hard time finding it on the platform that they were trying to get it on. I had to contact them, and then I found out what ended up happening. I wish somebody would have called me, but that's neither here nor there. And honestly, like I'm in the process of getting my book republished, and it's a journey within itself doing that. I'm at the tail end of it, but I did end up purchasing my book in bulk, so I do have like a bunch of copies that I'm willing to sell like through my website until I can get that, you know, up and running again. But yeah, that's a little disclaimer on what's going on with like where my book is on the different platforms with it being self-published. Right now you can just get it on my website. But like I was saying, I started writing, I had a collection of poetry that was in a bunch of my different journals. And at the time when I started like really writing this was in 2017. Yeah, like 2017. And I was in a very, very, very dark place. This is, you know, I want to get into a little story time. I talked about that I want to have full transparency on my experiences in my life and the things that I've gone through, hopefully for another person to hear it and feel like they have someone that understands what it is that they've gone through. So yeah, I want to talk about some things. And, you know, so this is like a little trigger warning because, you know, I don't know how certain things land on different people, but just trigger warning, just talking about mental health, talking about sexual assault, and, you know, the topic is going to be around that today. Where do I begin when I talk about like what's happened to me? So when I was 13, I have a lot of mental health things that I've dealt with in my almost 28 years of living. And it all started when I was 13 years old. You know, if you can think back when you're 13, we're all trying to figure it out. We don't know who we are. We like to think that we do, but we really don't know what is going on. 13 years old, it's just like a bunch of hormones and emotions just raging all over the place. And then on top of that, you're trying to fit in, you're trying to understand like who you are as an individual. Like 13, like I was in the 8th grade, about to go into the 9th grade. So I didn't know anything about myself, even though I like to, when I was a teenager, I operated like I had an understanding of everything. And little did I know, just, I truly didn't know shit, but it is what it is. We live and we learn. But when I was 13, I was really in a place of figuring my sexuality out. And I knew that I was like into guys, but I didn't talk about how I was also like attracted to females as well. And, you know, when I was in school, like when I was 13, that's like 2008-ish, going into 2009, it was giving very much, you're either gay or you're lesbian, and there was no in between. Like where we're at now with how we, you know, talk about the rainbow, all of like the different gender identities, how people identify within their sexuality, how people identify within their gender. It's so amazing how broad it has gotten. We have so much work to do always, but it is not where it was like in the past, in the way past, plus in like 2009, 2008, like we've grown, and I will say that and admit that. But at that time, I had no idea what was going on because I'm like, I was just confused because like, I was like, I just like who I like, but I didn't know how to say that. And, you know, obviously you can't just go, we couldn't be open about that really. And it was just a very uncomfortable thing to do. And this is also around the time when like the internet was starting to be, you know, MySpace was around. What else was around? MySpace, Facebook just started to be a thing. So it was just like the introduction of all of that. And, you know, I had this girlfriend of mine, you know, we're not friends anymore, but, you know, I found forgiveness in my heart. I had this friend of mine that I was really close with at the time. And, you know, we started, you know, experimenting with each other, as I feel like if you're someone who's curious about your sexuality, you know, I feel like a lot of the time, like experimenting happens with friends. And I was experimenting with this friend, and, you know, this was also around the time that I was starting to experiment with smoking a little Mary Jane. And, you know, at 13, I thought oh my God, like somebody wants to smoke, like someone said they want to smoke with me, I'm down, like I want to be cool, whatever. Completely naive compared to where I'm at now. And I'm from Pennsylvania, and you know, right now, like it's legal medically, but at the time it was not legal at all. And so, you know, had to be sneaky about it, you know, couldn't get caught, whatever. I used to get in trouble a lot when it came to marijuana. So if my mom's watching this, I'm sorry that I put you through that. I know it was a nightmare. But yeah, so, you know, these guys, I was a freshman. Yeah, I was a freshman, and these seniors said that they wanted to like hang out with me and this friend that I had. And, you know, that within itself was like exciting because like guys were giving me attention. So I was like, oh, I have to, you know, give them attention back. And, you know, so we ended up like going to smoke after school. And I wish I would have known what I know now, about to be 28 years old. Like, when I think about it now, I was definitely in a situation where, first of all, like the guys, like where they took us, in my opinion, was like clearly like it was giving trap house energy. It was giving, you guys, this is not your apartment at 18 years old. There was no furniture in this place. They just had 2 lawn chairs, and it was very sketchy. And now, like thinking back on it, I just want to give 13-year-old me a really big hug, because it was super sketchy. And pretty much, you know, we ended up smoking, and after we smoked, we all smoked together. I went to the bathroom, and then I came out, and the friend that I was experimenting with and who I was just like really close friends with at the time, she was nowhere to be found. She chucked up the deuces, and she was just like, bye Paige, have a good one. Like totally just left me there. And I asked the guys, like, where did she go? And they were like, yep, that doesn't matter. And, you know, they both ended up sexually assaulting me. And that's how I lost like my virginity. So virginity, whatever, like that was my introduction to sex essentially. And at 13 years old, when you're 13, you're still a child, you are not fully developed, and I was taken advantage of, and I was manipulated, and that's, you know, that was my introduction. And now when I look back at it, I have such a softer spot for the different versions of myself at that time, because I was even more confused on who I was. Like, you can only imagine just being a teenager in high school, and essentially from 13 to 19. Those were the years where it's like I was just really in such an exploration type of phase within myself, but also it was like the start of my self-destructive behavior towards myself. And, you know, at that time, like I started, just because of the fact that I wasn't talking about anything, I was really suppressing a lot, and I was acting out a lot as a teenager. And I was not talking about this with anyone. Some of my close friends knew what was going on, but they didn't really know the details. What happened to me at 13, I didn't end up coming out and like understanding what happened to me until probably like a few years ago, because I kind of just blacked it all out. So I carried a lot of things to myself, and I didn't talk about a lot. So that's what happened at 13. And then at 19, this time I'm living in New York. I still exploring myself, trying to get a better grip on who I am as a person. At this time, I was identifying as bisexual. You know, this is around the time when Tinder became a thing. So I was on Tinder, and I was dating this guy, and, you know, again, being naive, being younger, and not putting all the pieces together for myself, because I was just in a place of wanting to be seen and wanting to be loved in a certain type of way, that like a lot of red flags just kind of like were waving right in front of me, but I was not paying attention. And this guy that I was dating at the time, like, never, you know, when I think about it, he put the bare minimum, like not even the bare minimum when it came to like giving me the type of energy that I deserved. I was always going out of my way. I lived in Manhattan, he was in Brooklyn. He was never coming to Manhattan to come visit me. It was always just me overextending, just simply doing too much. And pretty much at this time, I ended up going to his place. And yeah, like the entire time that I was there, I was working on homework, like for school. And, you know, the entire time I was telling him, you know, I'm coming here, we can hang out, but I'm going to be doing my homework. I'm going to be doing my paper. So don't expect anything. I don't want to be intimate. So don't try it, because I'm trying to focus and do my homework. And, you know, that within itself is a hard no. And where I'm at now, something that I am really trying so hard to do is to honor my no and feel confident in saying no. No is a full-blown sentence. No means no. And you can say no at any moment. It does not matter. You should be able to say no. But unfortunately, you know, there are people out there that are twisted and they don't you know, they don't honor your no. So like it can be, that's complex within itself. So he didn't take no. I ended up going to sleep, and well, first of all, I was telling him that I didn't want to be intimate, and he kind of stopped. He stopped like pushing it. So in my mind, I was like, oh, he's honoring my no. Like he's not pushing it. We're able to like, I'm able to get my homework done again. I'm able to kind of just like enjoy just spending like quality time with this guy. And, you know, we were watching TV, we ate. It wasn't being pushed anymore. So in my mind, I was like, perfect. I didn't need to say it more than once. Cool. But then I went to sleep, and and the way that I woke up in the middle of the night was him on top of me, sexually assaulting me. And that's what happened to me at 19. So you can only imagine. So like that within itself, you know, is like my introduction to my teenage years, and my introduction to anything sexual started at 13. And then I ended my teenage years with like another assault. And then I was assaulted again at 25, and that's like a whole other story. That is separate, and that's going to be in book number 2 when I'm talking about it. And I am going to have more joyful things that I talk about and share in the second book. It's not all trauma of my life. Like what happened to me at 13 and 19 was the inspiration for A Page in My Diary. And around 2017, I kind of hit rock bottom. I was just at a place where I was honestly just wanting to give up, and I don't know. I was at rock bottom, and I was very, very depressed, and my self-destructive behaviors was kind of getting out of control within myself, where no one really knew what it was that I was carrying. At this point, I was living on my own in LA, and one thing that I learned at a very young age is how to hide and mask that I have stuff going on. So you know, people talk about having like high functioning anxiety, being high functioning in whatever, you know, whatever it looks like with like your mental health, you know, being high functioning in that. And I definitely feel that is how I was operating. And I still feel like I operate in that way as well, where, you know, everything can be presenting super calm, cool, and collected on the outside, but on the inside, it's like the SpongeBob episode when he's thinking about himself and his brain, and it's like a million SpongeBobs just like running around and his brain is on fire. Like that's pretty much how it goes with me, honestly. So in 2017, I hit rock bottom, and unfortunately I tried to take my life 2 times, and there's a higher reason why I'm still here. You guys, I'm so sorry. There is a massive spider right next to me, and I'm trying to get in this place where I allow insects even to just do what they need to do. But anything but it being this close to me. It's a daddy long leg, and I know they're harmless, and I know spiritually seeing spiders, I know it has good luck, but my God. Okay, do you guys want to see this? Do we see this? Listen, I want this video to be done, so I'm really gonna just try my best to just ignore this, constantly keep my eye on it, and get through this video because I've been on a flow and I don't want to stop because of the spider. I'm really trying to learn how to sit in my fears. So this is a test for myself. I'm gonna take a breath. I am so stressed right now, but it's okay. So there's a reason why I am still here. And I feel like one of the reasons I'm still here is because I feel like I am meant to share my voice, to share my story. And in 2017, when I hit rock bottom, I ended up in the psych ward. I ended up in the psych ward, and being in the psych ward really just put a major pause in my life, and the best pause ever. And I'm so grateful for my family for seeing how low I was and giving me what I needed at that time. And you know, I was very resistant when it came to going in. Is on the run. Oh my God, this is so scary. I am very grateful for my family for putting me in the hospital. And I ended up, after being in the psych ward and being in the hospital, I ended up going into rehab for a little bit. And when I was in the hospital, I wasn't able to have anything in the hospital, obviously, for obvious reasons. And the only thing that I brought with me was my journal. I had a brand new journal and a book. And, you know, being in the hospital, the purpose of that was to allow the people that were there to become stabilized. And that was the whole purpose. So it was every single day we would wake up, we would do breath work, we would do yoga, we would do simple things like journaling, writing, and doing artwork, and just things to calm the mind. And when you think about it, it's pretty much just stuff that we would do as kids, in school, elementary school and stuff like that, all very simple, easygoing things. I spent a lot of my time writing, just writing. And as I was there, that's when I had my aha moment where Spirit told me, write a book, share your experience. So that is when I started writing a page in my diary. And it took from 2017 to 2020 to get this book in its completion. Honestly, when I think poetry is different. I mean, I think all writing is writing at the end of the day, but when it comes to writing, obviously all writers, all authors have their own process when it comes to certain things. But for me personally, I never wanted to give myself a set, you need to have this complete by this date. And if you don't, I was going to bash myself. I didn't want to do that because of the fact that I'm writing about certain things that are so personal to me. And I don't feel like that's not anything that can be rushed. That is something that just for me, just unfolded when it was meant to unfold. And, a lot of my inspiration just would happen to me and come to me in the most random moments. That's why I always have a journal on me. At the time before I had a car, when I was living in LA, I was on the Shoelace Express. I was walking everywhere, so I could just be walking and I would have an inspiration. I would need to stop and I would need to write in my journal. Sometimes I write notes in my phone, but it just doesn't hit the same putting a pen to the paper for me. So when I started writing in my journal, I started writing my book. I don't like to put pressure on myself when it comes to this type of writing because I feel like I have to experience life and it takes time. So I started this in 2017 and 2020. I felt this is done. I think it was 2020 is when I published it, but I think I finished the book in its entirety in mid 2019. And it's been a journey. I wanted to kind of do this thing. I'm reading more of my poetry on my TikTok. I'll tag my TikTok on there. I want to do more readings where I'm sharing my words, speaking it out loud, because I'm so used to writing it, and I want to get in the habit of being able to read my poetry out loud so I can share it and be more comfortable and confident with doing that. Yeah, but I felt like I can just, you know, flip through these pages, and whatever page it lands on, we can go from there, and I'll read something to you guys. A lot of confessional writing in this, confessional poetry that is in this book, which I absolutely love, because I mean, it really, like, I am letting you guys into my diary. Most people, I don't know a lot of people that are letting you read their diary, but here you go. I'm letting you get like hands-on information about how I feel. Let's see. Okay, so what chapter is this? This is page 118. I think this is the recovering, but I could totally be wrong. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, nope. This is the wandering. So this is in the wandering section. You find the words that pour out of her mind, and you notice how she accepts sadness. The way she protects the madness in her heart is her way of moving through days that bring chaos. She lures you in with her willingness to sporadically fall into herself. You may not know what to do with her energy, but you cannot help but gaze in her direction. She will fight many battles before she conforms to your image of who she should or should not be. Somehow she still stands tall when the weight of the world sits on her sanity. Watching her releases something inside of yourself that you're too afraid to hold on to. When you have survived through trauma that could have ended you, you figure out how to live for yourself before anyone else. Who we are is what our hearts push through our body. When we think we are invisible, after a while, you wake up, you feel her fire because she blatantly moves herself towards vulnerability. Yes. I hope this video is something that resonates. I'm kind of bad at ending videos, but I want to do more videos where I'm talking more and I'm just sharing my thoughts and being open and transparent. Please stay tuned, because I'm definitely going to get back on here about the process of getting this book back on the market. Right now, I actually am reaching out to a bunch of different literary agents, and it is just it's honestly a waiting game, hoping that I'm going to hear something back, and also just being patient for when certain agents aren't, you know, accepting queries right now, like accepting submissions. So I have my eye out on like a few agents that like their submissions are closed right now, but it's going to be opening up within like the next month or two. So the main goal when it comes to my writing is to become a New York Times bestselling author. I am manifesting it. I see it crystal clearly. It's going to happen. And until then, go on my website, www.paigecarey.com, and buy a page in my diary. And I'll see you in the next video.